Now you can see in front of me, I have a beautifully mulched blueberry row. However, before you mulch it, you want to apply your sulfur-based fertilizers, like ammonium sulfate, sometime in March or April, before the blueberry flowers, before it puts on new growth. And why do we use sulfur-based fertilizers? Because they acidify the soil. Remember, blueberries are unique compared to most other plants because they like the pH to be between 4.0 and 5.5, and some narrow that down to 4.5 and 5.0. And how much fertilizer should we use? Well, if this is a brand new planted blueberry bush, some say don't add any fertilizer because it is suggested that it can cause necrosis or a death of the young blueberry roots. However, by year 2, we are allowed to add 4 ounces of a sulfur-based fertilizer per plant, and this increases all the way to 8 ounces per plant by year 6. And each year after that, we're going to keep it at 8 ounces per plant. How do you apply the fertilizer? Well, you want to avoid adding it directly on top of the blueberry bush because we don't want this fertilizer to come into contact with the crown, to the base of the blueberry bush. That's why I go around in a circle about 10 inches to a foot away from that blueberry bush, and I spread it around like that. And then we add our mulch on top of that. Because if you just broadcast a fertilizer across the soil surface, what's going to happen is that the sun can volatilize that synthetic chemical-based fertilizer, and some of it can escape into the atmosphere as nitric oxide. And research suggests that this is a very, very, very reactive global warming gas in the atmosphere. And another reason why we want to cover our synthetic chemical-based fertilizers is because when it rains, the water can cause leaching of that fertilizer. It can leach into the groundwater, and furthermore, it can reach into the rivers, into the lakes, into the ponds. And this causes eutrophication. And eutrophication is an excess of nitrogen or phosphorus in the water system, which leads to an increase in plant growth like algae. And then as these plants die, the microbes in the water, they consume all the oxygen to try to break these plants down. So then it kills off aquatic species like fish. And all this relates to how we fertilize our crops, or how we fertilize the golf course or our lawns. So every action has a reaction in the universe. We must be mindful of that. What I do up here in the mountains with my farming practices can affect a fisherman 500 some miles away in the Chesapeake Bay. So we have to be mindful and aware of nature and our actions, and we want to live in balance with nature.